Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in today and tuning into the show. In the show today, we have Jamie. She's the CEO of KelloTime, and they have done some wonderful work in the work management space. Jamie, welcome to the show, and please introduce yourself.
Neil, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm really excited to dive into our discussion. And to your audience, thank you all for having me and for listening. As Neil mentioned, my name is Jamie Albaum. I'm the president of KelloTime. We are a workforce management platform that's entirely web app based. And we put together our tool to help people stay on track and maximize their productivity. I'm happy to dive into the origin story of how we came to be in the first place. I'm sure that will come up. But again, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, definitely. We would love to hear that story, Jamie. So please share that with us.
Of course. Yeah. So I had the pleasure of co-founding Kello with two other founders. So very grateful to have them and their unique expertise at my side, of course. And we all got to know each other because we were working at the same business operations consulting firm. We were working with a client who came to us with an issue that they were experiencing with their staff, and that their staff was experiencing really high rates of burnout. They, as an organization, were experiencing a lot of attrition and really didn't know how to get to the bottom of why it was all happening. So one of the things that we suggested to the client was that, if folks are complaining of burnout because they claim that they are working so many hours, it'll be really good to be able to back that up with some actual data points. So we let them know that in order to do that, they would have to start using a timekeeping system. But they really didn't like the idea of onboarding onto a complicated, already existing timekeeping system, the cultures of which are kind of big brothery and didn't really connect well with the values that they espoused as an organization. So what we ended up doing was building what became the prototype for Kello in Google Sheets. Our chief technology officer and co-founder, Julia, built them with her expertise and essentially took Google Sheets and made an individual timekeeping spreadsheet for each employee and connected them all to what is effectively now our master dashboard. And we tested it out with this client with great success, and they were actually able to collect the data from encouraging the use of the new timekeeping system to see that, while members of the senior leadership team thought that folks were spending just a couple of hours on certain tasks, it actually took a lot more time than they had anticipated. So they really started to understand where the complaints of burnout and working too many hours were coming from. So when we were able to see the success of this pilot with the one client, Julia and my other co-founder, Lauren, and I, we all sort of sat down together and said, maybe we're kind of onto something here. And, as unique as our client was with the situation, no doubt there were other organizations who were experiencing similar problems. So we decided to embark on a little bit of market research, test out and see if there were others who were experiencing this issue. And it turns out that we were right. So when we, went into our bench of existing clients at the consulting firm at the time, we realized that this was a problem that we could solve for a lot of organizations. And that's when we took the prototypes, those Google Sheets, and took it to a bona fide developer who made it into the web app hosted platform that you can all use and see today. We really focused on the UX and the UI of it all, because if we're going to ask folks to input their time, it's got to be as, the least burdensome task possible in their day. So we really wanted to focus on the actual ease of use of Kello as a tool itself. And then from the time we started working with the client to when we decided to, when we had the idea for Kello, which was when we incorporated in January 2023, we released the first version of our web app in October 2023. So it took us less than a year to get there, and really happy to see how far we've come. We have hundreds of unique users and organizations who are now using Kello with great success. And it's wonderful to see, like I said, how far we've come, to see that we took this one problem that we thought was very niche and realized that it was a lot more widespread. And we're just trying to get the word out there about our tools so that more and more organizations can reap the benefits of what it offers.
Excellent. That's a very exciting story and a great journey, that if you have a problem, and you solve it, then magic happens, and and then you start.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think the best tools, the best products that are out there for all of us to consume are the ones that actually address real problems that we're facing. I think a lot of times when people are getting into the tech space, or really any space, folks kind of let their creativity run amok, which is not a bad thing at all. Creativity is what allows us to continue to innovate and generate
Mhm.
new ideas and build better and better things off of that thought sharing and that thought partnership. But sometimes the simplest and most elegant solutions are the best ones that tackle a specific problem in a very easy way so that folks' lives can be just a little bit easier with the advent of that product or tool.
For sure. So how many companies are you guys working with as of today?
I think in terms of unique organizations that are using Kello right now, we're nearing about 300 at this point. So considering that we've been in operation for less than 2 years, we're really proud of those
Wow.
statistics. We
Yeah.
understand that for some represents some modest growth, but we treat all of our existing users as sort of beta testers in and of themselves. And of course, we did go through an actual beta testing period before we released the product in October of 2023, but we like to maintain a very direct connection with our current base of users, and we want to respond to any of the concerns that they have, any of the requests that they have with the product. So right now, that's where we stand, and we just consider it an expansion of our beta testing, and we keep getting great ideas for our product pipeline from all of the requests and desires that we're hearing from our current base of users.
Yeah, definitely. Is it an enterprise license or do you guys charge per user? How is the business model?
Our pricing model is actually something that makes us unique and sets us apart from other timekeeping tools, productivity management tools that are out there on the market. If folks are familiar with the way that a lot of CRMs operate, for instance, a lot of them charge on a per seat basis. We decided that we didn't want to go with that model because it can leave a lot of organizations hanging in the event that someone is added to the team and they don't have a seat in order to onboard them to the platform, or somebody leaves the organization and then they have a seat that's vacant that they're still paying for, and that's eating into their bottom line. So the way that we've put together our pricing model is it's tiered by organization size. So we have small, medium, large, and enterprise pricing levels. And what this allows for is inherent flexibility as an organization continues to grow or even contract. So if an organization grows and more people are added to the team, those new team members are not automatically going to be locked out to the Kello platform. There's that inherent flexibility built into the pricing tier, wherein as your team grows, you'll be able to seamlessly onboard them to Kello and get folks using it immediately. Similarly, if your organization is in a contracting period, you're not going to have to worry about paying for more seats than you're actively using because the pricing tier accounts for that already. And as your organization, if it's growing or contracting and sort of bridging the gap between the small to medium tier or the medium to large tier, we've organized it in such a way where your pricing will automatically adjust depending on how many active users you have. So there's
Okay.
never going to be an issue where somebody is locked out of the platform. Just one of the many ways we were thinking of from the user interface side of things, how to make this tool a really seamless one for organizations to implement.
So there won't be a time where there will be any empty seats or, there'll be always efficient use of the licenses and the seats the way you guys are modeled, right? How did you get your first client and what were your challenges in scaling and how did you overcome them?
So the way that we were able to get our first client, we were actually at my co-founders and I. We attended the HR Tech conference in Las Vegas in really around the same weekend that we launched the product. And we were there to promote Kello as the brand, promote the product, and just get the word out there. We had the pleasure of being in the small business expo part of the entire
Oh,
conference. So we were able to set up a booth over there. And again, just, meet with folks in the HR tech space one-on-one, learn more about
wow.
the other products that were out there, see what the competition was like. And while we were there, we were actually able to sign a client right on the spot when they
Wow.
heard all about our
Okay.
products. So they're one of the first of our clients that we ever onboarded onto the platform, and they're still using it to this day, which is wonderful.
Nice. Very nice. So that is something that is that what you guys follow to at like basically the conferences and the expos, right? That is something
Yeah,
that has helped you.
definitely. I think as founders who are venturing into a space that we are not as not super familiar with, it was really important for us to quite literally get ourselves out there, meet people in person, to understand the conditions of the HR tech space, to understand what other sort of products and tools were out there for organizations who might use Kello. What might they also be considering? Where might
Mm-hmm.
the problems that Kello is tackling overlap with some other products and tools that other companies are putting out there? And of course, that good old fashioned networking was really great for putting ourselves out there, for meeting people who would eventually mentor us and give us some advice on putting together pitch decks and elevator pitches when it came time for us to start to meet with some VC firms about some
Yeah.
funding opportunities. It's great to have that chance to connect with folks and to see the camaraderie that's there, and to learn from folks who've been veterans in the HR tech space, and sort of get their stamp of approval for what we were trying to do in there as well.
Yeah, makes sense. So, are you guys using AI in any way, or do you guys plan to use AI in any way in your?
We we most definitely do. That's like the first thing at the top of our product pipeline right now, is to figure out how to incorporate AI into Kello. And one of the ways that we're thinking about doing so, well, in fact, there are two ways. One is incorporating AI through a chatbot feature that we want to affectionately call Kelly. That way, when users are actively in the platform, if there's something that they're curious about or they're having any sort of user interface issues, they can go to the chatbot that's AI powered, and they can get a response almost immediately if they're not able to reach, customer service on the back end for something that they need a response to yesterday. The other way we want to incorporate AI is with forecasting features that that we want the Kello platform to eventually be able to offer all of its users. So something that makes Kello really unique as a tool is it allows project managers, HR managers, organization leaders, whomever, to compare actual timekeeping data with time capacity predictions. And where those two sort of marry is in the comparison between the forecasts and the actuals that will give organization leaders the data that will allow them to make better informed decisions about how to staff their organization, how to organize different project teams, how to ensure that staff members aren't on the edge of burnout by putting in too many hours than are humanly possible. Having that information at your fingertips is what's going to allow organization leaders to make the decisions that will help them maximize productivity and profit. So if we could incorporate AI to learn about the timekeeping habits of all the staff at a particular company, and then generate recommendations for organizations leaders based on those forecasts against those actuals, organization leaders can then even reduce the amount of time that's needed for their own brains to come up with strategies for how to better staff their organizations across, better staff folks across different teams and different projects across the company. AI can crunch those numbers for them and get them started with some ideas to help maximize that profitability.
Yeah, so amazing. So it's not just time management, it is time prediction also. So more of you can do budgeting, and it will help with the budgeting and the finances, all kinds of stuff when you do the prediction and analysis, because it all triggers from the hours and the resources, right? That is needed for the
Absolutely.
project.
Absolutely, yes. And another way that Kello's a really helpful tool for organizations is in coming up with new business decisions. A lot of times, some organizations, especially small and scrappy ones, will want to go after every particular funding opportunity that they can lay their hands on. And I really appreciate that enthusiasm, but I can even speak from personal experience that sometimes you'll go after new opportunities that your organization isn't prepared to take on. For example, if you are a really small company of 5 people, but you're going after funding opportunity that will require your organization to plus up to 25 people overnight, that is a huge expansion for any organization to comprehend and implement overnight. And if it's requiring 25 people to do the work of that one funding opportunity, you really can't do it with 5. So it's important to be able to understand the current capacity of your team members, of your employees, to understand what their ability will be to take on new business to help your organization grow in a sustainable way that's not going to cause it to fail because it took on too much too fast.
Yeah, makes sense. Very interesting. So what about would you like to talk about some of the tech challenges that you guys faced?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of some of the challenges that we face, I know that, any other founders who are listening can probably relate to this, but, there's always a shortage of funding. And we have completely bootstrapped Kello's inception, development, continued growth this entire time. We are so grateful to our friends and family who really believe in what we're doing so as to support us and throw their hearts and souls behind us to have been able to help us get to this point. As I mentioned before, we have had several conversations with venture capital firms, and we're always willing to meet with other funders, definitely angel investors for whom what Kello does might resonate, and if anybody is interested in working with us. But some of the challenges that we've had, especially just given circumstances beyond our control, given changes in the economic environment, are being able to secure that seed funding so that we can have that cushion to be able to finally implement some of those great ideas that we've had waiting in our product pipeline. What we really want to do is to be able to plus up Kello with some integrations with current bookkeeping softwares like QuickBooks or with Sage Intacct. That way, some of that budgeting data that you can get from Kello can seamlessly upload and integrate into those other platforms without having to risk any human error in the manual data transfer process. So that's something that we know a lot of our current users are yearning for from us, and we definitely hear them from their feedback, and we want them to know that that has not been forgotten. We're just, working round the clock to make sure that we can implement it in a successful way. We're very much of the mindset that we want to do things right the first time so that we don't introduce an update that causes a lot of crashes and then subsequent necessary bug fixes. If we're going to
Yeah,
make a drastic change like that to suit the desires of our users, we want to make sure that we roll it out right the first time.
got it. And what is your like for the rest of the year? I know we are already in September. For what are your plans for the rest of the remaining quarters in terms of scaling?
In terms of scaling, I think it would be great for us to welcome a few additional companies to using Kello. But right now, our focus through to the end of the year is continuing with our marketing strategy. Being able to guest appear on your podcast, of course, is just one
Thank you.
way that we're able to do that. So thank you so much for your partnership and for enabling us to get the word out about our
Very
product to
welcome.
your
Yeah,
audience. And yeah, that's really what we want to continue focusing on so that we can generate some buzz about Kello through to the end of 2025, and then hopefully start 2026 by welcoming a whole bunch of new users onto the web app.
excellent. Very nice. And thanks for joining this show for us today. So, Jamie, if people are more interested to learn about KelloTime and reach out to you, and what are the channels they can reach you at?
Absolutely. So you can reach out to Kello directly on Instagram at Kello_time. You can also find us on LinkedIn. You can also visit our website, which is www.kellotime.com. Folks can also reach out to me personally. My email is always open. I'm always eager to hear from current users, prospective users, people who have no idea what we are and just happen to stumble onto us by mistake. I always love having those conversations with people. And my email is jamie@kellotime.com.
Excellent. So, Jamie, thank you so much for your time today. And thanks for viewers for watching this show. Please like and subscribe if you want to watch more contents like this. And I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining.
Thanks so much for having me.